logo. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Hi, I'm Woody, and this is another Woody's Tapestry. So come take this ride with me, and let's try to find some truth. Lean not to your own understanding. Man, that used to confuse me. Anyways, until I learned these three little words, I know, no, it's not I love you, even though I do. No, really, I do, okay? But the three words that I'm speaking of is knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. See, when you learn these three little simple words and you lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways you trust in Him, He'll light your path. Now, I know I'm preaching just a little bit, and I'm definitely paraphrasing, but you get my point, don't you? Okay? So in all of your getting, one thing that I would say get is understanding. That way, all three of these entities can become a part of you and live within you, okay? How many of you out there right now, by the raise of hands, know that words is power? So be careful what you speak, but repeat this: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. See, when they live inside of you, then and only then will you become the person that you were created to become, and you get on the path that you're supposed to be on. Now, don't get your knickers all in a bunch. I said knickers. Knickers, you know never mind. These are just my beliefs, okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you, so don't get hung up on that. See, if you have all three of these, just like the Creator, you become a non-respecter of person. Now, I used to wonder, what does non-respecter of person mean? Well, it brings me to a story. Surprise, right? Well, it goes like this. This real wealthy guy finds himself out in this barren stretch of land. Now, he started trying to move and get back on track because he was lost. And he was out there for days. So he went from just being, up and walking because he had all the provisions he needed and all that sort of thing, to where he was just barely walking, and then he was just barely crawling, and he just barely getting along. And while he's going through this struggle, he heard this familiar sound off into the distance, and he barely listening, he lifted his, and it sounded like people laughing. Yeah, it sounded like people were having a good time. Well, by this time, he was so hungry that the smell of food seemed to grab him by his nose and just pick him up. So he finally gets to the big doors that was there, right? And with the last little strength that he has, he knocks on the door. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. I don't know why they always do three, because it could be this. Boom. Okay. Anyway, this big guy answers the door and say, "May I help you?" And he looks up at the guy. He looks down at himself and he thinks to himself, what is this, a trick question or something? So the stranger, being in a position and predicament that he was in, humbled himself and said, "May I please just have something to drink and possibly something to eat?" And then he started to explain himself, right? Well, while he was trying to explain himself, the big guy interrupted him. When he interrupted him, he said, "A man with no means like you can't sit at the table of rich men." And while they were going back and forth, the man heard someone call his name. So he looks around the big guy and he sees a guy, and the guy is waving him in. So he goes in, right? And the guy knows him, he knows the guy, and the guy said, come on, man, join us. And he sits down at the table and he starts getting all of this stuff, and all this food was put in front of him and everything, and he's just getting ready to bite. And he sticks his fork in the food, and he's getting ready to put a bite, a morsel in his mouth, and he dropped dead. I know, right? I mean, just right there, he just dropped dead. Now, had the guy that was at the door recognized that that was a human being that was in need, he possibly could have saved this fella. But in order to save something, it has to be important to you. And it has to be worth something to you. Okay? So instead, he saw the total opposite. He saw somebody or something that he felt was unworthy of what he had. Hey guys, we have to treat everybody good, regardless of what they do or don't have. Which brings me to a question. Why do people think that just because people have money, that should make them important? I mean, don't you know that a rose by any other name still would just wither up and die? Now stop right here. Now what do you believe? Right? Really? See, if you never run into the enemy during your walk, guess what? He's walking right beside you. That means that you and he both is going in the same direction. That's just a little nugget. Okay, somebody out there needed that, so grab it and use it. Well, the guy in this story believed that if he could just get something, that he would be okay, he would be all right, he could be saved. And he thought this because he had knowledge. See, knowledge is only power if you use it. Here's an example. If I take out my keys and dangle them in front of you and say, hey, do you believe that if you take these keys and go over to my car that you could start it up? Yeah, most likely most people will say, yeah, okay. So I said, okay, well, follow me. And we go over to the car, stand beside it, and I dangle the keys again. I said, so now you believe that you could take these keys, get in my car, start it up? Sure. Mind you, I still got the keys in my hand. See, life is a lot like this analogy. As long as you stand on the outside looking at the gift and you got the keys in your hand, you'll never get nowhere. And just like life, you have to get into it, get in the driver's seat, start it up, and put it in gear. Man, there's been many times I've found myself just standing in front of my destiny with the keys in my hand, and I'm just standing there still just wondering what to do. See, you can have knowledge, but you also need understanding. See, you need to be able enough to recognize what you have. And then after you get understanding, you need wisdom so you will know what to do with what you know. Man, ain't we done this just like the world? It just keeps repeating itself. Now that's all I have for you today. Now, tune in next week for some more nuggets of wisdom. And if you like any of the videos, please click on them and leave me a comment. And while you're leaving me a comment, don't forget to subscribe. Okay? Until we meet again, I just want to say one more other thing. Logo. This is Woody, and this is Woody's Tapestry. Thank you.